The television was playing some old documentary about whales when she walked in, the kind she always told me bored her to death. I left it on deliberately. Volume low, lights dim just right. From the hallway, it probably looked like I was still inside, stretched out on the couch like every other Tuesday night. She even called out my name. Once. Then again, a little louder, with that tone. The fake annoyance she used whenever she was trying to act normal. But there was no answer. Just David Attenborough talking about migration patterns and the distant hum of the dishwasher I'd set on a delay. She didn't realize it yet, but everything around her had been staged. The coat I always hung by the door, gone. My shoes, missing from the rack. The mug I drank coffee from every morning, clean, dry, and sitting in a box halfway across town. I was gone. She walked further into the apartment, probably expecting me to come around the corner with some lame joke or a passive-aggressive comment about her being late again. But what greeted her instead was the silence of absence, the kind that hits you in waves, not all at once. And when she turned the corner into the kitchen, she saw it. The note, folded in half. No name, no dear, no explanation. Just a single line, written in my shaky, passive-aggressive handwriting. Check the bedroom last. I can imagine her heart skipping at that point. Maybe she thought I'd found out. Maybe she even whispered that other man's name under her breath in panic. But by then, it was too late. I had already seen everything. The messages, the hotel reservation, the photo she forgot to delete from her hidden album, the one where she wasn't even trying to hide her ring hand. I didn't yell. I didn't wait for her to explain. I didn't even leave her a voicemail. I just made her come home to a perfectly quiet storm I'd prepared down to the minute. And when she finally opened that bedroom door, when she saw the closet half empty, my drawer open, the safe unlocked, the little envelope with the shredded marriage certificate still fluttering slightly from the ceiling fan's breeze, I hope it finally hit her. This wasn't a fight. It was the beginning of her unraveling. And I hadn't even touched revenge yet. I watched it all unfold from my car. Parked 2 blocks away, engine off, windows cracked just enough to keep the windshield from fogging. I had a clear view of the bedroom window. It used to be our bedroom. Now it was hers. And even then, even with everything she'd done, I still caught myself calling it ours in my head. She didn't scream right away. That surprised me. Dana was always theatrical when it suited her, the type to slam cabinet doors instead of admitting she was mad, or sigh dramatically just to bait a question. But this betrayal I gave her, this absence she wasn't expecting, it shut her up. She froze in that doorway, hands still on the knob, staring at the closet like it had sucker-punched her. Half my clothes gone. Safe wide open. Our wedding photo face down on the nightstand. Not shattered, just placed that way, like a whisper of disrespect. I wanted her to feel that quiet sting more than any loud fight. Then came the scream. Not anger. No, this one had panic in it. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. That sound. It was the same pitch she used years ago when she thought she'd lost her passport the day before our honeymoon. The only other time I'd seen real fear in her face. Not regret. Not guilt. Just the fear of inconvenience. This was different. Because while she was tearing through the apartment like a raccoon in a dumpster, trying to find some sign of why I'd vanished, I was already 6 steps ahead. Before I left, I pulled every account into my name. Legally, cleanly. The rent? Already rerouted. The utilities? Cut off next week. Her car insurance? Cancelled. The joint savings? Split 50/50ths, down to the penny. I wasn't reckless. I was meticulous. She'd get what she was legally owed, but not a cent more. But the best part? Her phone. I knew she'd look at it. That was the next logical step. Find out if I'd messaged her, left clues, maybe some pathetic text saying, "We need to talk." But no, I'd never give her that satisfaction. Instead, I left her something worse. I'd synced her phone to an old tablet months ago, back when she started acting weird. She never noticed. I saw everything. The flirty messages, the late-night photos, the excuses typed out with zero shame. But I never responded. I never confronted her. I just took screenshots. Hundreds of them. I uploaded them to a hidden folder. Not public, not viral. Just one neat, labeled drive. And then, just 30 seconds before she screamed in that bedroom, I triggered the text remotely. Her phone buzzed once, screen lighting up with a notification banner. You might want to check the link before your boss does. That was all it said. No name. No threat. No context. Just enough to make her stomach drop. Because her phone wasn't in airplane mode. It was still tied to her work laptop, her company cloud. And the moment she clicked the link, which I know she did, because I got the ping, she saw it. The photo. Her. The mystery guy. In the company restroom, no less. Timestamped. Labeled. And just beneath that? Saved drafts. 43 emails addressed to HR, ready to go. Now, to be clear, I didn't actually send them. I'm not trying to ruin her life. I just want her to live in the tension of not knowing when the next blow will come. This wasn't just about leaving. This was about making her live in the silence she left me in for months. I sat in that car for another 2 hours. Watched the light in the bedroom turn off. Then on. Then off again. Watched her open the window at one point and lean out like she was expecting someone. Maybe the guy from the photo. Maybe me. I didn't move. I just watched. Because you can't rush this kind of revenge. It's not about destruction. It's about precision. And I was only getting started. It was almost laughable, the way he knocked. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just 3 casual taps, like we were old buddies and he was dropping by to return a borrowed tool. I didn't answer right away. I wanted to see how long he'd stand there, how confident he really was. I watched him through the peephole. He adjusted his collar, checked his phone, knocked again. This was him. The guy from the photos. The man who'd been sneaking around with my wife for months while I folded her laundry and made her favorite tea on nights she said she had late meetings. He had that smug corporate look, polished but generic, like a salesman who calls you bro and thinks he's doing you a favor. I opened the door slowly, just wide enough for him to see my face. I didn't say a word. He smiled, like I was supposed to recognize him, like I was supposed to shake his hand. Hey, Curtis, right? I think we should talk. I stared at him. You think? He paused, sensing I wasn't going to be polite. Look, man, I didn't know she was married. I didn't know about you, okay? I laughed in his face. A dry, bitter laugh. You didn't know? You work at the same office. She literally wore her ring to meetings. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. Okay, yeah, maybe I did know. But it wasn't like, look, Dana said things were over between you two. She made it sound like you were just roommates or something. Roommates. I almost lost it right then. Not because he said it, but because it sounded exactly like something she'd say to justify what she was doing. She probably painted me like some boring, emotionally unavailable husband. Always home, always quiet, always tired. And maybe I was. But I never cheated. I never lied. I never disrespected her. He shifted his weight. I'm not here to fight. Honestly, I came because she's losing it. She said you're trying to ruin her life. I stepped back, let the door swing open just enough for him to see the empty living room behind me. Still no furniture. Just boxes, a lamp, and silence. I could tell it made him uncomfortable. He was expecting anger, maybe yelling. But quiet men are unsettling, especially when you've wronged them. She's not wrong, I said calmly. I am ruining something, just not her life. I'm dismantling the version of me that ever believed a single word she said. He blinked. I could see the panic building behind his perfect posture. He expected either forgiveness or fury. Not apathy. Not cold calculation. He looked around nervously, like he wasn't sure what I might do. Then I leaned in, dropped my voice. Tell her I'm not sending the emails yet. That depends on her. His jaw tightened. You're blackmailing her? No. I'm giving her the exact grace she denied me. A silent window of time to face herself before everyone else does. He took a shaky breath and nodded. All right, I'll tell her. Good, I said. Also tell her the lease renewal comes up in 3 weeks. I took my name off it. Hope she can handle the full amount. Then I closed the door. Slowly, quietly, letting that silence speak louder than any slammed door or punch to the face ever could. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel powerless. I felt precise. See, she thought I'd be the kind of man who breaks down, cries, begs, or maybe explodes. But I wasn't doing any of that. I was just cutting the strings. One by one. The first call came at 3:12 in the morning. It jolted me awake, not because of the ringtone, but because of the name on the screen. Dana, home, still saved that way, out of habit. For a second, still half asleep, I almost answered like everything was normal. Like she was calling to ask if I'd feed the dog or grab oat milk from the store. Then it hit me. We didn't have a dog anymore. She'd left me no home. And I'd left her nothing but silence. I let it ring out. She tried again at 3:14. Then again at 3:16. I stared at the phone. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because I wanted her to sit with that silence. To let it stretch. To feel the weight of what she'd broken, with no instant feedback to soothe her panic. Finally, at 3:19, she left a voicemail. Her voice was shaking, part angry, part breathless. She didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't apologize. She just launched straight into it. Whatever game you're playing, it's not going to work. You're being immature, Curtis. And threatening people with screenshots? That's harassment, actually. I played the message twice. Then once more. The third time, I noticed something in the background, a muffled male voice. Him. I couldn't make out the words, but I recognized the tone. Not comforting. Not supportive. Annoyed. Defensive. They were fighting. And she was unraveling. She used to be so composed, a queen of calculated appearances. Dana could smile through a funeral if she had to. But now, her voice cracked near the end of the message. We can talk. Just please call me back. Or at least text. I didn't. I went back to sleep like a baby. The next morning, she tried something new. She emailed me, a long, frantic message disguised as calm. She opened with, I think we should set boundaries and de-escalate. De-escalate. Like I was the one who escalated things by daring to react to her affair. She wrote that she was scared of what I might do. That I was damaging reputations by implying things that weren't fully true. That her job could be on the line if I misinterpreted screenshots. That part made me laugh. Because she didn't know I had the voice memo. Yeah, she didn't realize her phone, at some point during one of their late-night meetups, recorded audio. I didn't even plan it. It had auto-synced through her smartwatch. A 27-minute file of her and Mr. Smug Lexus laughing about how she kept me pacified with sex and silence. About how I was too passive to ever leave. She even said, and I quote, Curtis is comfortable. That's all. He's just furniture at this point. Furniture. I listened to it 3 times. Not because it hurt, but because I wanted to know exactly which parts of me she erased first. Which parts she stopped seeing. Turns out, it was all of me. So I wrote back just one line. You never saw me. Now you won't see me coming. She replied within minutes. Curtis, stop. This is not healthy. She was right about that. Nothing about this was healthy. But none of it was new either. What she was finally feeling, the confusion, the disorientation, the fear of what would happen next, was exactly what she left me drowning in for nearly a year while she slipped away inch by inch. I didn't want to destroy her. Not really. But I wanted her to feel it. Not a single explosion. Not a single screaming match. Just the slow collapse of control. The way I'd felt every time she looked me in the eye and told me there was nothing going on, while her phone lit up with names I wasn't allowed to ask about. Now she was the one spiraling. I was finally still. And she was just beginning to realize. The silence wasn't my breakdown. It was my answer. I didn't expect the next message. Not from her. Not from anyone in her family. But there it was, a text from her sister, Claire, out of nowhere, like a spark in dry grass. We'd never been particularly close, Claire and I. She was younger than Dana by a couple years, lived in Oregon, and only came around for major holidays or the occasional brunch when she was in town. Dana always called her the emotional one, the chronic oversharer. I just figured she was normal and Dana didn't like mirrors. The message was simple. No greeting. No fluff. Just this. She told me everything. I just want you to know I don't support any of it. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. At first, I thought it was a trap. Like maybe Dana had put her up to it. One of those manipulative, soft entry tactics to get me to lower my guard. But Claire didn't follow up with anything else. She didn't ask questions. Didn't beg for details. Just left it there. Respectful. Unintrusive. So I ignored it. For 2 days. But it kept bugging me. That tone. That guilt. It didn't sound like someone covering for her sister. It sounded like someone, ashamed. Someone who'd seen things I hadn't. So I replied, I appreciate it. I'm not trying to blow up her life. I just want to be done with all of this. Claire responded immediately. She's blowing it up herself. You just finally walked out of the fire. That line stuck with me. We started talking. Not much at first. A few exchanged texts, some short venting. She never defended Dana, never tried to excuse what happened. If anything, she seemed angrier than I was. She told me Dana had a pattern, one I never knew about. Apparently, in college, Dana had cheated on her high school boyfriend with a professor. Claire had caught her and threatened to tell. But Dana gaslit her into silence, told their parents Claire was jealous and obsessed with controlling everything. Claire told me she never forgave herself for staying quiet. She's manipulative, she wrote. She wraps people around her shame until they think it's theirs. I reread that sentence 5 times. Because that was exactly how I'd felt for months. Like I was the one doing something wrong every time I noticed something didn't feel right. Like I was overreacting just for being hurt. Like my pain was a burden. Something inconvenient. Claire even offered to send me screenshots, old messages, things Dana had said about me behind my back. I said no. Not because I didn't believe her, but because I didn't need to read Dana calling me boring or comfortable or safe but unsatisfying. I'd already read between those lines every night she turned away from me in bed. Then Claire said something that made me pause. She's scared, Curtis. She's telling people you're spiraling, that you're unstable, that you might show up at her job. I thought you should know. And just like that, I felt my stomach knot. Because Dana wasn't just cornered, she was building a story, a version of me that made her the victim. She wanted to rewrite the narrative before the truth ever surfaced. And if enough people heard it, maybe she would start to believe it too. I thanked Claire, told her I wouldn't do anything reckless. Because I wouldn't. That was never the plan. I didn't want to scream in front of her coworkers or post screenshots online or humiliate her in some public display of vengeance. That wasn't who I was. But I wasn't done either. She wanted people to believe I was spiraling? Fine. Let her keep guessing what my next move would be. Let her sit in the silence I used to live in. Let her pace the apartment wondering who else I'd talk to. Because I was no longer just walking away. I was rewriting the version of me she tried to erase. And I had just started gathering the people who knew the truth. It happened by accident. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it was intentional. Maybe her best friend was tired of being dragged into Dana's lies. Either way, it was a 22-second voice message that shattered the last piece of her illusion. And she had no idea she'd even let it happen. Her name was Marcy, the kind of best friend Dana had known since college. Loud, loyal, always in the loop. Dana called her my vault, like some kind of badge of honor. She always bragged about how Marcy had never spilled a single secret, not even drunk at her bachelorette party. I used to think they were ride or die. Turns out, sometimes the people who protect you the most are also the first to grow sick of your games. It started when I got a text from an unknown number. You probably don't want to hear from me, but I didn't sign up to cover for this much. She's losing it, and I don't want my name tied to whatever happens next. No name, no introduction, just a short audio file attached. I stared at it for a minute, thumb hovering over the play button. I was paranoid by then, thinking maybe it was bait. Or worse, a trap. But curiosity won. I listened. Marcy's voice. Shaky, rushed. Whispering. Background noise. Maybe she was in her car. She said, "You need to stop lying about Curtis. Telling people he's stalking you? Are you out of your mind? You asked me to cover for you every time you snuck out. I lied for you. And now you want to paint him as the dangerous one? No, I'm not doing this anymore. Don't drag me down with you." I sat there, completely still, the phone buzzing in my hand like it was trying to catch my breath too. It was like getting hit in the chest with relief and rage at the same time. Because finally, someone else had said it. Someone on her side. Someone she trusted. It wasn't just me screaming into the void. Someone else saw the performance, the smearing, the slow destruction of my reputation she was engineering from behind the curtain. Dana had been telling everyone I was unraveling, that I'd been sending her threats, that I had anger issues, that I was struggling emotionally after the breakup. But Marcy knew the truth. She had been the one to text Dana alibis while she was out with the other guy. She'd answered the phone when Dana said, "Tell him I'm with you tonight if he asks." She'd deleted comments on Dana's socials when people asked about our marriage. She'd covered for her, again and again, until now. I didn't respond to Marcy. I didn't need to. The voice message said everything. But I saved it, backed it up in 3 places. Because if Dana wanted to keep painting me as unstable, I was going to show the world just how stable I'd been while she burned everything down behind my back. She didn't know yet, but her circle was cracking. People were stepping away, quietly, but noticeably, even online. Her usual Instagram likes were dropping. Her posts were starting to get passive-aggressive. "Surround yourself with people who don't turn on you when things get complicated," she wrote under a picture of her wine glass. Funny, that same wine glass had been in one of the photos she sent to him. The same ones I never released. The ones I still had. And I had something else now, too. Options. Not to destroy her. No, that would be too easy. I wanted her to watch it happen, to watch the walls cave in, not all at once, but slowly. People turning colder. Friends backing away. Doubt replacing certainty. She told the world she didn't know why I left. Soon, the world would understand why I never came back. Of all the people she could have contacted, my brother was the worst possible choice. And somehow, she thought he'd be her way back in. Her leverage, her sympathy line, maybe even her chance to rewrite the narrative one more time. But what she didn't know was that Noah had been watching everything from the sidelines. Quietly, closely. And he was the one person in my life who never bought her act to begin with. I found out when he sent me a screenshot. No words. Just a picture of her message, and the subject line said everything. I think we should talk about Curtis. I stared at it for a solid minute. Then another. My brother doesn't do drama. He's not one to meddle. He's a high school teacher, wears the same watch he's had since college, and reads mystery novels in the bathtub. But he also doesn't let people lie to his face, especially not people who once looked him in the eye and toasted to family. Her message was full of fake concern, polished and calculated like always. She wrote that she was deeply worried about me, that I'd isolated myself, that I'd been obsessively contacting her friends, trying to sabotage her job. She even claimed I had a history of emotional instability, and she thought Noah might be the only person who could reach me before things got worse. She made me sound like a broken animal. Noah's response was brutal, clean, direct, and surgical. He replied, "Dana, don't contact me again. He's not spiraling. He's recovering. You hurt him. He left. Let him. If you're scared, it's not because he's unstable. It's because you got caught." She didn't reply, at least not to him. But I know she read it. The read receipt came in just 2 minutes later. I wonder if her hands were shaking when she saw it. I wonder if she realized, right then, how fast her control was slipping through her fingers. I met up with Noah that weekend, and he told me everything. How she tried to casually bring up our marriage at a family barbecue months ago, long before I knew the full story. How she'd hinted that I wasn't really present anymore, that things had felled off for a while, planting seeds before anything had even come to light. She had started rewriting the narrative before the first domino fell. But the truth? It had already been catching up. Noah told me something else, too. Something that made the hairs on my neck stand up. She didn't ask if you were okay, he said. Not once. She just wanted to know what you were saying. That's all she cared about. And that was it. That was the moment I knew she hadn't called me at 3:12 a.m. because she missed me, or regretted what she did, or even felt guilty. She was scared. Scared of the truth. Scared of the people who used to believe her starting to see through the cracks. Scared that I wasn't reacting the way she expected. Because I wasn't chasing. I wasn't arguing. I wasn't posting or threatening or confessing. I was silent. And silence terrifies liars. Because in silence, there's no control. No way to twist the story. No way to soften the edges. Just you, sitting in what you did, waiting for whatever comes next. She thought reaching out to my brother would buy her time. Or pity. Maybe even some control. Instead, it gave me more proof. It gave me another voice confirming what I already knew. She was falling apart, and I hadn't laid a single hand on the wreckage. I was just letting gravity do its work. The last time I saw Dana, she didn't even realize it was the last. She was standing in line at a local coffee shop, tapping nervously on her phone, wearing that oversized beige sweater she used to claim was ours. Because I bought it for her that Christmas. She cried in front of my parents and blamed the weather. She didn't see me. I was behind a pillar, halfway out the door, watching her from the reflection in the glass. And I stood there for a moment, not because I missed her, but because I didn't. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel heartbreak. Just this steady calm I hadn't felt in a very long time. Because it was finally over. By then, things had already shifted. Her job? Still technically hers. But the tension in that office was now thick enough to slice. Word had gotten around. Quietly, yes. But people talk. Whispers in the break room. Side glances in meetings. I didn't have to lift a finger. Just truth, moving at its own pace. Marcy had stopped speaking to her. Claire had blocked her. And every one of her mutual friends with me had gone silent, either out of guilt or shame. But me? I was free. I had moved into my new place. Nothing fancy, but mine. I painted the walls something warm. I started sleeping with the windows cracked again. I cooked for one and liked it. I bought a used piano off Craigslist and surprised myself by playing it every night, even badly. It made the place feel full. I reconnected with people I hadn't talked to in years. Started spending time with my nephew. Read actual books again. I stopped checking her socials, stopped waiting for the next wave of chaos, stopped needing to win. Because somewhere along the way, revenge stopped being the goal. Peace did. And I got it. The final message she sent me, weeks ago now, was a long, self-pitying email. A beautiful arrangement of excuses and what-ifs wrapped in artificial grace. She didn't ask for forgiveness. Not really. She just wanted to know why I didn't fight for her. Why I didn't scream. Why I didn't break. But I never responded. Because the most powerful thing I could give her was silence. That space where her voice echoes back at her without mine to interrupt it. Where she sits with her own choices and has to wonder what I think, what I feel, what I've become. And the truth is, I've become better. I still believe in love. I still believe in commitment. I just don't believe in giving those things to people who treat you like a placeholder. These days, when people ask me what happened, I don't tell the whole story. I just smile and say, life taught me who I was married to. I don't carry it anymore. I left it behind, just like I left the apartment, the ring, the empty wine glass, and every excuse she ever gave me. And I walked into a life that finally felt like mine.